Good afternoon, guys. How are we doing today?
Good afternoon.
Good. How are you?
Very
I'm
fine.
okay.
Myself.
Good. So, I hope you all were having a productive week and you all had the opportunity to read chapter 3. Because we breaking out of this principle, it's talking for 3 hours, right? And we need feedback and we need interaction and we need to ensure that persons comprehend. Correct? Because a lot of times I reach at week 10 and the people don't even know what risk is, or there's some misunderstanding. So please talk back to me. The whole point of this is to make sure that you comprehend, that you understand, not can remember, but can apply everyday life cases to what you read or listen to in class, and whatever you learn that you could go apply in your institution, or you could do some fact checking to make sure that you're following policy and procedure and doing what y'all ought to do so y'all don't go to jail. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Okay, good. Very good. Very good. Okay, so by now I would hope that persons had the opportunity to at least look at chapter 1's classwork questions and attempt them and confirm that I understand what the question is asking and I understand how to answer those questions. Both chapter 1 and chapter 2, you should have at least looked at it and can confirm that you know how to answer. Right, Lanique?
Yes, ma'am.
So you know how to answer those questions.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay,
But
what about
Latoya said she won't be able to make class. She told me to tell you.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. She could get the recording from Miguel. So what about the homework? When is the first homework due? Have you decided if you're gonna do the first homework?
It's due on the 5th.
The 7th.
The 7th.
Okay, so that's next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
So anybody looked at that homework and made a decision as yet? Remember, I said that that is a mandatory question, and so you'd want to get that out of the way, you know, and make sure we're on the same page. And remember that it's 20 points, not 10 points. So need a little extra meat. Anybody attempted it or plan to attempt it?
I started reading. I haven't started writing yet, but I started reading I read the cases in the back. And it seems doable. So I'm gonna take a stab at it.
Okay, very good. Well, good, because you need to make sure that you understand that and you don't want to wait till review class to just be, you know, doing your research or finding out how to answer that, okay? So very good that you at least would have read the cases and start your research. Okay, so very good. Okay, so anybody has newspaper, civic organization, anything they want to share today?
Well, once we didn't share one class, we continue sharing like newspaper articles and stuff on newspapers.
Sorry,
Once we have already like spoken one class on, let's just say the newspaper, what we saw in the newspaper, should we continue like throughout the classes, or
yeah,
that one
yeah, you
suffice?
should. I mean, the expectation is about 3 or 4 classes. Remember now, you're gonna get points for participation, so you should participate every class. Not that I expect you to write do the newspaper every week, but you know, just make sure, you know, at the end of the 10 weeks, Miss Bullet know you and we've been talking. Because a lot of times people will say, oh, Miss Bullet, I shy, and you know, they still want the points. You can't get no points if you're shy.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, very good. And then when persons share their newspaper, we expect, you know, feedback, questions on the discussion based on what they share. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so I see some hands raised. Okay, so let's go with Gator. Gator, how you doing today?
I'm okay, just tired.
Yeah,
So
this
I
end
read.
of the month, a lot of persons was tired in all my classes. So understood.
So I read the business section of the Tribune today, and this one stood out to me. It said the business listed fund still eyeing downtown parking solution. Whew, because we need it. Because parking downtown is atrocious. You cannot park anywhere, especially where I work. Parking is like poor. So
What about this big building by the what you call it? What place name? You don't park there?
what big building? You
By the
mean
You
point.
mean
Yeah,
what they building
by the
by?
point.
the points charge you like $70 some, I think, a month. They'll charge us $78 a month for parking. Hey,
Yeah, so that's what $2 a day, or no, you only
mm-mm.
park for 20 something days. Is how much that is?
It is a lot. It's a lot with it though. So
But think about it now. When they fix this parking problem, what you think they could be charging when they go spend $1 million to put in one skyscraper for us to park in? What you think they could charge?
Like everybody
Guys,
else,
go.
like everybody else around there, they'll be charging skies,
parking
rocketed
around
prices.
there is like crazy. It goes
Yeah.
from like $7 and So I
Seven?
normally catch the bus or get
You
dropped.
better say $10 around there.
$10.
Talk for
$10.
Gee.
$10.
$20 a day.
But I know they started to tell persons to park by the old post
Post
office. But
office?
that's a walk.
And miss the parking, the potholes inside there. Horrible.
Look, isn't that the central bank? Where the central bank? Why you can park there?
No.
No, she don't remember about the old post office building, but they did demolish a couple
Right.
months ago. I
Right,
didn't know the
that's the
central
new
bank going
site.
there.
Yeah, the central bank going there.
I don't
They're
know.
going to start building it.
But listen, the central bank was supposed to go to bank supervision was supposed to go into the building across by ERCOT. And I don't even see them going there anymore.
Okay, no, but they even had an art competition on the architect to draw that. And so yeah, they moving there. They building a whole building. They must
didn't
just
even
ain't get no money yet. They waiting on the government to find some money to build it. Yeah, they going right there.
Oh. Well,
Yeah. But yeah, so get used to the point the point amount, because anybody who build a parking lot now, that's what they can be charging or more. And y'all have to hurry up, get some promotions, because if once you on a certain level, management and above it, they pay for parking for you. The company is pay for it. So if you work downtown, just get a promotion. All your execs, that included in their package or their benefit package. Okay, so you're on the right track. And then any of y'all, like I say, the 5 persons that you hang out with on the weekend, or the 5 persons that you meet in this class and you network with, y'all get together and y'all put a parking lot together, whilst the property should be cheap. No, for real, think about it. Whilst the property should be cheap downtown now, because they've been talking about revitalization for the last 20 years. And when this port open, they actually do it, right? So
that's
y'all
true.
jump on board and get one parking lot, and y'all charge $10. How about that? Okay, very good, very good. Thank you for sharing. Satisha.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Afternoon.
Read the newspaper article on Tuesday, and I came across the topic, the worst of high gas prices over the year. Says retailer. The prices are now down more than $1 from $7.39. Hi this summer. Bahamas Petroleum Dealers Association Vice President Mr. Bastian said the worst of high gas prices may be over, as trend points to lower costs for the rest of the year. Still prices aren't expected to move significantly. Sorry, I'm the shy one. Significantly lower or higher than current prices in the short term. Mr. Bastian also said that he think we have seen the highest. We might even see lower prices in another couple of weeks or months. He went on to say that the crude oil prices were checked on Monday and they were 93 per barrel. Several months ago, we were at 146 a barrel, and that was when the prices of gas at the pump was like 7.39. So between the crude oil dropping to 93 per barrel and the global market, we will see lower prices.
Okay, yeah,
As
thank
of
God.
Monday, yeah, as of Monday, I think ASO was 631, Ruba 630, and Shell 663.
Yeah, and that's very high, and the out islands even more. I'm
Yes.
fully traveling right now, and today, you know how much I pay for gas today? $10 a gallon. I was
wow.
laying on the floor,
Oh,
rolling over and saying, Lord, I'm thank God I obey him and I live in the Bahamas.
Oh,
You
wow.
paid
$10 a
$10
gallon.
what?
$10 a
Which
gallon.
station that was at?
I in Turks and Caicos.
Okay,
Wow.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was falling on the floor. One in the food store, eggs for $12.50.
wow.
Milk, a gallon of milk for $10.54. And some bread was for $5. I put everything back and I just walk out the store. I say, okay, I don't need milk. Then I go back and I say, I don't need eggs. Then I go back and say, oh, I don't need bread either. I say, let me put gas in this car. So I went to the gas station. I asked like 3 times. I say, sir, this the price on the pump? He's like, yes, ma'am. I say, you're sure? $10. Yeah, so I know it's hard for us, but my God, this is on another level.
So Miss Paulette, what your minimum wages in Turks and Caicos?
Of course, I had to ask. So it's $6.25, and for the last 2 years, the government been trying to raise it to $7.25. I was like, my God. I say, so what do you do? Is it tourism, or they say most persons work for the government? So I guess I don't know what type of subsidies this get, but that's what, 250, 260 at 6.25. That's only hour is 5.25, eh? So they may be making 270 or so. Yeah, so it's crazy. Yeah. Geraldo, you saying gas prices are so high? Yeah, some $9 a gallon. Yeah. What island you on, Geraldo?
I in Nassau, but I remember traveling to Long Island about 2 months ago, and gas like $7 or $8. But gas
Wow.
like $9 a gallon.
Yeah, I wonder what y'all think. I think they trying to push this electric car thing. What y'all think?
Yes.
And they
I know
can't
the
push
pandemic.
that because
Well,
the battery for the electric car is a brand new car.
Yeah, not even that.
Really?
So they can't be pushing that.
But I thought you just like go plug it in somewhere.
You
Yeah,
can
but
plug
when
it
the-
in
when
and
it break
recharge it.
down.
But when the battery is no more good, it's just like you have to buy a whole
buy a new
vehicle.
car. The maintenance is
what's
very
the-
high for them.
So how long the battery is last then?
Now that I'm unsure of, but I do remember reading somewhere that a lady went in for a service because one of her vehicle wasn't working. And it was like the oil was like $30-something. But when they said the battery, it was like 28,000 something.
What?
Yeah.
But that must last at least 10 years. It can't be.
Man, electric cars
It
just
can
come
be.
out. Electric cars just come out. And that article was recent. So I don't know.
Yeah, you have to be careful when these things are new because they have to play around with it. It's a trial and error period before they really figure out how to make it work. So,
Miss Paulette, I
yeah.
worked at Easy Car Sales for a little while, and they sell the electric cars. The battery is supposed to last 8 years. It goes down. But it's supposed to last a full 8 years, and they give you an 8-year warranty, but the cars are really expensive. Like
was
the
just gonna
small,
ask.
the small Paso looking car is like $30,000.
Wow.
But okay,
But
let's compare it to gas though. Compare it
now
to
you do
even
save
our
a lot on
regular.
gas. You do save on gas if you do the calculations, but you got to be able to afford the car.
Yeah, that's the next thing. And you really don't
So
want
may I
to
ask?
pay no 30,000 for a parcel.
So may I ask?
So yeah.
How often do you charge these
Oh Lord,
batteries and these electronic cars?
My boss has one and he charges us every 2 days, and he said it has a very long range, but he charges it at electric stations, and even if he does it at home, he said it doesn't damage his light bill or anything.
Okay.
It stays neutral, so it doesn't take a lot of electricity.
So they have
Okay,
special
so you
type
think
plugs at home for you to install it.
Yeah, they have charging stations. You'll have to install a charging station, which is like about $200.
Oh,
And then they sell,
Jesus.
most of the cars come with a charger, but if you have to buy the charger is like $150. No, I lied. The charger is like $700, but it lasts a lifetime until you mess it up, but it lasts.
Okay, so when this battery dies and we pull up and we have this 8-year warranty, do you then have batteries available? Or you would
If
say,
it dies
oh, we
before
go
8
order that
years,
now could be in 2 weeks.
yeah, they order
Sorry?
it. The cars at Easy Car Sales come from China, so you're gonna wait. And
So that means you out of a car for like 2 months?
yeah, sometimes they give you a little gas one to take you around till it comes. That was when I was there, but also the batteries are like the ones that they had when I was there were like $8,000 for the smaller cars, and like the big fancy $80,000 cars, they were like 20, 30,000.
Jesus. And you wait 2 months?
Yep, 2 months.
That don't sound like a deal. That don't sound like a deal to me.
But you
Oh.
save on gas
Sound
though.
like a deal.
How much it would be to order our own? Because that's going through a dealer, right?
That's true. Yeah, because they bring them here from China, but you can order it yourself. And electric cars are 10% now, I think.
The duty?
Yeah, the duty went down on them.
Wow.
You think a lot of people purchasing that?
It sounds beneficial to the and that ain't for the average person. That ain't for
No, it
us. We
isn't.
ain't get our paper up yet. We on it too. We on it. Soon, that's why we here. We soon be the executives with the company to provide us with a car.
Timing, Miss Umbrella, timing.
Yeah, timing. Yeah, you're right, Brian. You're right. Okay, guys. Very good. Shavana, you read another article or?
Miss Bullet, I finish.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We also attended the Rotary Club meeting of Nassau, so meeting on Tuesday. The
Girl, you
guest
get your points today. Let me write that down.
most
Go
definitely.
ahead.
I don't like to talk, but anyway, the guest speaker was Miss Camille Gomez Jones. The topic was developments and initiatives at the Register General Department. We should know that they handle us from the cradle to the grave. They are the holders for all of the records of the public service, if I say it right. They have the civil side that deals with deed searches, that's birth, marriage, death. They have the recording agency that deals with the will, satisfaction, mortgages, agreement for sale, affidavit of any document you need to record. You're free to do that at the Register General, but it's not free. It is a fee, of course. They do corporate registry, handles all companies, regular companies, for profit, non-profit organizations, so on and so forth. The developments that were met in place when Ms. Jones got in January, they are relocating. She said they'll be relocating right across the street. I think that's the financial center, and they are hoping to be there by December. They are
Okay,
also
so her name is Camille. Sorry, what's her name? Camille? Gomez Jones?
Camille, yes,
Camille Gomez
Yes, ma'am.
Jones.
yes, ma'am. She said
Okay,
they are
I have
sorry.
I don't know if any of you work in which corporate offices, And this would be very important, Satish. I don't know if any of y'all even know, but there was one guy who used to run the entire Registrar General office. His name was Wellington Smith. Anybody knows him?
No,
No?
I
Okay.
remember
Well, if
Sterling
any of
Quant.
y'all-
I know the
okay.
name.
If any of y'all ever needed anything from the Registrar General on the company side, the only person who could ever help you was Welly. Okay. And unfortunately, Welly passed away. And at some time during the pandemic, like, yeah, it was in 2020. And let me tell you, every corporate office cried because he passed away with all the information and the only really person who could help you, you know what I mean, when you wanted information right away without having to come down there and stand on the line. And so from then to now, it's been a complete utter mess. And so
Yeah.
that's why I was saying this is very important, and it's good that she is out there introducing herself, because I really hope she could carry on his legacy, because he was awesome. He was awesome. Where you would be waiting a month if you walked in, he got it to you right away.
She
So-
also said that they'll be going digital, so you'll be able to register online, so no more papers.
Mm-hmm.
They're also
Yeah, but they digital now, and
Alright.
the things you don't need, you could go get from online. So yeah, okay.
It was my gateway, right?
But still spelling people name wrong on forms and making you pay to get affidavit.
Yes, correct. Okay, Satisha. So, but it was just an introduction and to talk about the registrar.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you did?
I did.
Oh,
Okay,
Yes, and
very
I'm hoping
good, very
to
good.
join soon.
Okay, excellent, Satisha. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Like I said, for the corporate world, that meeting would have been very important. Just people, since Valley passed away, it's been very, very difficult to get information, and now we had to go through the normal government process, and you all know how that is. Okay, so very good. Thank you for sharing. Shamara, you spoke already, or
No, Miss Bullet, but I'll be quick.
Okay.
The article that I read, I didn't do my CERC organization yet, but the article that I read was Michael Pintard asking the government if they could reduce VAT, well, take it off the bread basket items until inflation kind of goes away. And then it made me wonder if the FNM had gotten in power, would they have done it? And then it took me back to if Bahamians still think that they were better off with the 10% and no VAT on bread basket, with the 10% and VAT on everything, or with the 12% and VAT off the bread basket items, the medicine and all this stuff. Because I feel like we be in effect. I feel like I like the bread basket items. And when I see my bill, I feel like I get more affected now with VAT on everything. But there is arguments that it's better now with the 10%. So
who
it
said
just
who
made
said that, Shamara?
a lot of persons, Miss Bullard, I think they're PLP supporters, but they said we better off with the 10%.
I feel we're better
Honestly,
off with that 12%. This is
Really?
Charles. Yeah, every time when I go to the food line, look at my bill, I feel like this bill really ridiculous than how it was last year or a couple of months ago.
I feel so too. I mean, not
honestly,
only the
no.
grocery.
I feel like they just add VAT to everything. It doesn't
And
matter if the
every
bread
week you go
basket-
inside Rupert Roberts stores, what you used to buy last week for $2,
The
you buy,
prices
you
gone
best,
up.
you best
Yeah.
believe you buying it
Almost
for
double.
$6.
So I think the problem
Yes.
is price control and not the VAT. I am not a supporter of the people. I'm just saying, I think the problem is price control because they just hiking up the
Okay.
prices all the time.
And I really wanted
Let's
to
go
know the
back.
persons from price control, if they go in these stores to actually check on these prices.
I don't feel it.
But it wasn't in this class where we said we need people in price control. We need people trained up to go there, because every time there's a hurricane and the price gouging, they come on
The
TV and
battery's
say,
going up.
"Oh,
The
they have
candle's going up. Yep.
right." Nothing is ever done. So we just need to throw the whole price control commission in the garbage and start afresh. That's how I feel, because for years nothing has happened. I thought
And
it
that's
was
the
class
thing.
where we spoke about-
They're making all this
But-
money and still ain't doing nothing.
Correct. So
And
on the
the
campaign
consumers
trail
is
for the
separate.
PLP, yeah,
Mhm.
on the campaign trail for the PLP, their promise was that we'll take away VAT for a year, completely VAT, but offer
Never
everything
happened.
for a year if they
Yep.
want, right? And of
Mm.
course, we've been watched internationally. There was no way possible they could do it. So everybody wanted to see what, how he could come up, what he could do, right? To fulfill this promise. And so in the beginning, of course, the opposition, everybody's like, come on, this was your promise. What are you going to do? And so they thought they came up with a creative thing to decrease VAT. I mean, yeah, decrease it by 10% and put it on the bread basket items. But think about it. Let's think about it. What are bread basket items? Items that the
Exactly.
greater community and the poor people use
Correct.
every day to have a meal, and they already cannot afford it. And so therefore, let's try to give the lowest price on these items. So persons who need bread and milk and egg and cheese every day, at least will have a meal for their children. So how could you then turn around, not fulfill your promise, and then put VAT on everything? Increase the prices on bread and milk, everyday needs, and then do a survey and talk about only 42% of persons is use bread basket items. That's almost half of the nation.
Exactly.
That's 7% away, 8% away from 50. Come on. So it's ludicrous. It decreases the poor people buying power. It decreases all those people who want social service buying power.
And
That
even the
10 cents makes a
medication.
difference.
Yeah.
Right. And medication. So come on. That was just a campaign promise that he could not fulfill, that they mess it up for everybody,
That's true.
especially the poor people. Okay. So that's definitely affecting people in the lower class who eating corned beef and tuna for dinner. We probably just have it for breakfast, and or we'll have it for dinner once a month, twice a month. We just have that for dinner every day. Noodles every day. Okay,
That's smart.
so that was a bad move. Bad move. Yeah. Okay, Alicia.
Good afternoon.
No.
Actually, hi, you okay me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I read the newspaper, it's actually almost similar to, I think it was Shavana who stated about parking. However, this one was in the area of Shirley Street on Collins Avenue, because they stated due to as many of medical facilities are there, there is insufficient parking. And I believe the doctor who's in charge of the heart office stated he would like to put up a 15 or 16 level parking garage and condo building there. That will probably take up, I think he said it'll need at least about 10 floors to have 600 parking spaces, and the other floors he will have as apartment buildings.
Okay. All right. And again, of course, we all familiar with Collins Avenue and how there's no parking in at least 6 persons.
Yes.
And who go to the doctor or sick, they can't be walking from 2 miles away to try and get to the doctor. They already sick, right? And so
Correct.
therefore it's an excellent idea. And of course, we know now that we have a crowd. I don't know this route, but we do have a crowdfunding platform out there through our cats. And so please pay attention and see if he is out there asking for investors. That's a great opportunity. Or again, like I said, that's all the way down Shirley Street. You know, get together with some of your friends and say, hey, this is a needs assessment before this port come into place. Because imagine when that port come into place, where we spending $192 million on a port. How many employees they expect 400 or 500? Where these people go park? Where they go park? Nowhere downtown. You even probably need somebody to bus them from East Street, right?
Right.
So start to think there are a lot of things that's going to be needed. I mean, it's needed now. And like I say, whilst the cost is down, catch it whilst it's low. You know, so get your group together. Okay, and like I say, definitely follow FX and the crowdfunding program to see who's out there asking for money. Good return on investment. Okay, so very good, Alicia.
Thank you.
Gia,
Hi, everyone.
Gia,
I just
hi.
wanted to, I missed last class, but I did listen to it and it was excellent conversation. I loved everything about it. I did both. I went to the Kiwanis meeting last night as well as I read the paper. I'll start with the paper. I read an article with respect to PM Davis stating that us as the citizenry need to be a little bit more frugal in our spending because hard times are coming.
Gia, stop that. They call him the virtual prime minister. Anyway, go ahead.
I got
Go
upset
ahead.
and I stopped
He's
reading
doing a
it.
travel worse than Fred. Fred Mitchell is normally the world-renowned traveler in the government. Now he take over. Okay.
Right. So
Okay.
I got upset. And I couldn't read it anymore because I said, you know something, Gia, let's move to something else. And I went to the business page. And interesting enough, there was a similar article with respect to the same thing about being frugal, where he included some information about Mr. Roberts. And he said that Mr. Roberts said that there was going to be some increases, but in the same breath, he was saying how he gave some totals with the central bank. And he was saying that Mr. Roberts was saying that because of the price of oil and because of the price of because of import and export, like these inflation is going to jump. Now, what was interesting to me was that he said that there was it's now 4.4% as opposed to it being 0.9%. And then he also listed some other things that increases like transport, which rose to 14.2, communication to 12.2, education to 2.3, and culture to 1.3. Now, why I said that it was interesting to me is because I think it was the last class that you guys had a discussion with respect to minimum wage and the private sector stating that they were upset that it was going to jump to $10. Like my mind was just I was mind boggled because how are people going to live?
Where you're getting these figures from? Because
it's in the business
they
section.
never say no $10 to you.
Well, I forgot what the figure was, but I think someone
had $10, but I think the government to raise the 7, hotels to raise another. They have like 3 different amounts they propose it.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What they did state, I guess what was a little sweet note to the article, was that tourism was doing exceptionally well. And I think it had jumped to some 33 million or billion. I cannot remember that figure exactly because I was trying to remember some percentages, but it was tourism was doing well. And he said that the commercial banks were actually doing pretty good. So I was like, tourism is doing well. The banks are doing well, but we still have major inflation. Like the rich just getting richer. We getting poorer. How we gonna, baby? 1 second for me. Come out, baby. Come out, close it up. Yes, sorry. It was just interesting to see the totals.
But Gia, and the thing about it too, that's why I say, but when you read a body of work or something in newspaper, you only gotta go start with who wrote it and do a little bit of history on the author, and you'll see exactly what lifestyle, what thought process, who they support and how they write. Just like if you watch CNN and Fox News, CNN is the Democrats they support.
Right.
Fox
I agree.
supports
the
Republicans, right? 100%. So
today I was trying to.
What are they comparing these figures to, Gia?
And
what are they comparing these to? Not 2020 and 2021. Because normally it rose 12% since 2020.
Actually, yes, that's what I just
pandemic.
Yeah. I was exactly going to say that. Right.
Yeah. Tourism is doing well because in 2020 and 2021, nobody could travel and the projections were very low. All right. So of course, immediately the countries are now open. Everybody is traveling. Is it truly doing better? or they making up for 20, they
Right, and
recover
that's why,
21 and
right.
22, and right, yeah. Yeah, so that's how your thought process gotta be when you reading that.
Because I was
You know?
going to, I think that one was the Guardian, and I was trying to read the Tribune at work, like to see if there was a difference, but I didn't get the opportunity to. But in any event, it was interesting. Now, I went to the Kiwanis meeting last night. It's the first time I've ever
Attended.
experienced anything like that, because I didn't know that they were so heavily involved with children. Now, they did discuss this children's fund, and the guest speaker was Richard Moo Young. I think I'm saying it correct. Bobby Moo Young, Richard Moo Young, right. Now, what they started off with, I think they're having some annual ball next year, and which is going to be a major fundraiser. And they were pretty hype about it. And what Mr. Young also stated was that he wanted persons to make sure they pay their dues and try to see if they could reach out and get other members. And he also said that I think the Bahamas, or maybe no, the Cable Beach location of the Kiwanis had donated some $643. I guess that was major for them, because like I said, I don't know. But it was a very interesting meeting. And like I said, I did not know that Kiwanis was so heavily involved with kids, because apparently they start from they start from 6 years old with this thing called K-Kids. And they go right up on to college with Circle K. I've always seen the Kiwanis sign, but I just thought that it was just a speaking club, like how they have Toastmasters. Is really good. And I think that I'm going to ask the lady if I can get an invite for the next meeting. But they had all of the clubs, or I should say about 6 or 7 of the clubs. It was like a joint meeting. And they were saying that they were going to try to see if they can do it like that again, so that the persons can speak and I guess get to be more familiar with each other. But it was a really good meeting.
Okay, excellent, Jay, and I'm glad that you found it beneficial and want to join. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Shona?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Miss
Good
Bullet, I'm
evening.
sorry I was late. I dashed as fast as I could home.
Understood. I know it is.
I actually went to a Kiwanis meeting on Monday. That's Kiwanis Club of Nassau AM. And surprising enough, they had more than, it was a large number. They had like about 20 something persons on their live. And maybe more than that, but I remembered being a large number. And they had a speaker, a guest speaker, Mr. Mortimer. I didn't get his first name because I got there late. I logged on late with difficulties with them providing the passcode. But his topic was in reference to different styles of leadership. And I found it very interesting because you mentioned some of the stuff that he mentioned. In terms of us going out there and being together and working together to change the mindset of how we think, and we have to work as a team to get things done. And so he touched on a few areas, basically saying that we're all leaders. He also mentioned teamwork cannot work without working on the team. And then he also mentioned serve the new generation with new information. And then lastly, he mentioned the common norm, not goals, will always be achieved. So change your culture. Now, one of the examples he gave that I found quite interesting is he mentioned Starbucks. So Starbucks owner at some point when you walked into Starbucks, you smelled sandwiches. and he didn't want his stores to smell like sandwiches. So what he did was he changed his brand to be where the focus is more on coffee, where he sells coffee. So as of today, if you walk into a Starbucks, you will smell more coffee than the sandwiches. And then he also meant he had to change his mindset, which I liked. And then another example he gave was Google. Google apparently they basically find out what their employees' ideas are, and then they basically bought into the strategies what their staff have, and then they develop their ideas based on what their employees put into it. And as you know, a lot of companies, they don't really ask what their staff feels or how they can better the company. I don't know if anybody else has a different experience, but never
No,
have I
Shauna,
been.
you are so correct, because there is a suggestion box. In our weekly huddles, we do ask for if anybody has a good idea, let us know. But we never ever pick up on their idea, because our managers go into the position, but I am the boss, so I want to make decisions.
Exactly.
They don't want anybody to outshine them.
But you notice Google thrives. Google thrives
right.
based on what their employees suggest, what their staff suggests, which is a good style of leadership.
But think about it, Shauna, because you are part of a team. What we hire you for? What you going to school for? Like one person won't know everything, and so we should be brainstorming each week to to help the company succeed. But our culture is we could be outshine, so we don't want to put their thing in place. It's crazy.
And Mr. Mortimer also said, it's a good morale boost, because if you feel as though you're contributing to the company, then you feel valued. Because hey, I added this suggestion. Hey, that's a good thing. I'm helping to promote the company. So I thought that was good. I really enjoyed the meeting. Gia, they did mention a bowl. They said it's happening this month, actually, the 24th, and they're inviting anyone who was interested to purchase a ticket. I don't know if it's the whole of the Kiwanis Club, but definitely Kiwanis Club of Nassau AM is having a little ball where they dressed up, and the guy came on with a bow tie and all that. But it seems like a very nice club. And they did invite me. They opened the line for guests, and they did invite me to attend another meeting on Monday at 7 at the Red Cross. That's where they have their meetings. And I'm thinking I will probably attend and see how it is to be in person. But it was different singing the national anthem at the end too.
Okay, so
I haven't sang the national anthem in years.
okay.
It was nice.
So very good. Very good. I'm very glad y'all found it beneficial.
I also read the newspaper. I'll be quick.
Okay.
With the newspaper, I read the mortgage commitments are up. I'm actually experiencing that because I have a niece. Her and her husband decided to buy a home recently, and the home is a good amount, and they're going to go for it, and I thought that was good. But apparently the mortgage commitments are up. The second quarter, it was the highest number of new mortgages commitments since the onset of COVID. So it was up from 135 commitments in quarter one, and the mortgage commitments are a leading indicator of economic activity. 182 commitments for single dwelling, and 30 commitments for duplex. So persons are out there buying. So that's a good sign that the economy is doing well despite everything.
Yes, 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 it is very, very good. And like I said, I'm very pleased that you guys are not waiting till the end to get your points. So very good, and that you're finding these meetings beneficial and interesting. So I'm very, very pleased. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you too.
Okay, Bria, or Bria, I guess we never put your hand up. You
No,
still
I
have something to say?
I didn't give a newspaper. I didn't give a story, but I do have one quick story. I read the newspaper today, and Sandals had a job fair today for their upcoming busy season, and they were seeking to receive applications for only 100 spots, and they got a turnout of over 300. And this was basically in conjunction with the Department of Labor. And while reading this, it just shows how the rate of unemployment is still high since the pandemic. And there aren't any, or there are not much opportunities for persons who are unemployed to get jobs at this point, at this moment. But it's good to know that tourism and these hotels and that whole industry are doing their best to employ as much behemoths as possible. And that was a bit encouraging to see. I mean, a little disappointing that they can't hire everyone, but the fact that they have the capacity to hire at least 100 for the upcoming winter busy season. So that was a good,
Yeah,
that
it
was a
is.
good
It's very good.
indication of some growth or some economic growth post-pandemic. Or I don't even know if we're still in the pandemic, but yeah.
Right, right. Whatever they say, right?
Yeah.
But
I
Bria,
don't know.
yes, but what it also taught me, and I saw this during the pandemic, or even before, you have to make a job. Okay.
Yeah.
And it always resonates that Steve Harvey say, if you could make apple pies or pumpkin pies, start to make one pie and sell it to your friend. Um, if you could grow vegetables, if a lot of mangoes grown in your yard, try to make sell those mangoes. My friend during the pandemic, she has a dilly tree, and she in fact, this is a house that she grew up in, so she has been there for at least 26 years. And she said, from growing up, they used to eat the dillies all the time. And when she became a teenager, they just started letting her grandmother passed away. So of course, they just let the dillies, they didn't know the value of the dilly anymore. They let the dillies just fall over the ground and nobody even cared about them. But during the pandemic, she works in the hotel. She was home. Do you know she made $1,000 off her dillies in like 6 months during the pandemic? And she said that was the first time, not that the tree doesn't bear every year, that she noticed and that she took, account of it. And she just simply didn't have any money. And so she sold her dillies. And she said, some days that was all she had, being a hotel employee. So, it taught her the value of her entire yard. And she now, people still come in her and she does her side hustle. So I always say we need 5 revenue streams. Okay. This 9 to 5 job is only for bills. If you want to travel, if you want your children to go to private school, if you want a nice electric car from Shawnee, you have to have a side hustle. Okay. And so I always say the 5 people that you hang out with for 5 people that you hang out with every weekend, 3 weeks you party. The 4th week you'll brainstorm those same ideas that your company just thrown in the garbage. You'll think of them, get together, invest together, and make a job. I promise you, that's the only way you're going to survive.
Yeah, and this article just showed how much or how great of a need of job creation we need. And then that ties back to these grants and stuff that these different organizations are granting persons to create these jobs. And they don't even really understand that when they grant these grants, they are creating jobs to more persons. So Yeah,
Correct.
the fight
And the
really
small,
only is to survive, and the standard of living is too high in the
Yep.
Bahamas for persons to be unemployed right now, getting their little I don't even know, 250 from national insurance. How much they giving the people now?
If
I
even
know
that
it's,
for you, say 250,
yeah,
all of that.
I
Minimum
know
wage for me. Yeah,
it's
but
not enough.
you have to, like I say, if you want to survive, especially if you work like in the hotel and the places that closed down during the pandemic, you have to have a side job. And the Small Business Development Center, I could say under the F&M, it was really real. I don't know how it is now, but I applied for a grant. They have loans. They give you equity, or you could apply for a grant, and a grant is where you don't have to pay back. And during the pandemic, they offered fishermen and farmers up to $50,000. And I have a friend who's a fisherman who said, "Miss Bullard, I don't know how to do paperwork, but let's go into business together. I have a boat, I need an engine, I need some fishing gear, and I'll give you a percentage." And I say, "Yeah, okay." I sit down, I do nothing. I say, "Okay, I need another income." And I sat to my computer and I got all the information that he needed to invest in his fishing boat. And it took 10 months, but he was approved, and he got almost $40,000. And I am now a partner with him just simply because I do all of his administrative work. And that has been the best investment I have made just with time. I put not $1 into that boat, okay? But I put my time and my knowledge into applying for that grant, and he was approved. And his boat, he goes out three to four times a week, and he makes $1,000 a day. And I get a percentage of it. Best investment I ever made, okay? So don't worry about what field. You just want to make some money, okay? And I have 5 revenue streams, that 5 different things. If one don't work, because everything is seasonal, and you get some income coming in, and that's how you stay afloat. Okay, so look into it. Geraldo, you're getting the hand up for a while. Go ahead.
All right, you could have. Hello.
Yeah, you're in and out, but we can hear you.
Okay, let me just take this off. Well, take my speaker off. You can hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I didn't join any of the organization, the club organizations, but I actually registered with the Bahamas Association of Compliance Officers for their virtual lunch and learn, which is due for next week. So I got my registration as well as the Zoom link and password for it for next week.
Is it free? Is it free, Geraldo?
Yeah, it's free. It is free.
Okay, good.
To register for it.
Okay, very good. So guys, again, that's the Bahamas Association of Compliance Officer. That meeting is next week. These are the meetings that you're gonna have to be attending, and these are the people that you need to introduce yourself to and rub shoulders with. These are the people that you need in your network. Okay, so very good, Geraldo. And like I said, check with your institution. This one is free, but the MLRO day or the compliance day, there's a cost, and normally your institution pays. Okay, so find out if you have that benefit. So Geraldo, next week, we look forward to you. It's on the 7th day. We look forward to you sharing that with the class, and you'll definitely get your 5 points.
Problem. I also read the newspaper, the Tribune, reference to the husband accused of killing his wife in a car crash. This male, he would actually be the first one to be charged under the new law, because back in the past, a lot of persons were charged with killing in the cause of dangerous and reckless driving. This one is being charged now for vehicular manslaughter, which is current before the Supreme Court and not the Magistrates Court. So
Okay,
with,
so
with the
did he
last,
intentionally, was it an accident or?
it was an accident where it was back in April where he ran into a tree in Cable Beach, and he was charged with vehicular manslaughter along with driving without third-party insurance, the vehicle's not registered or licensed. And it was
Oh,
him,
wow.
his wife, and his 2 kids was inside the vehicle when the accident occurred. But his
I
wife
thought he
actually,
died.
wife
I
died
thought
on scene.
everybody died.
Only the wife died on scene. The kids were injured.
No.
Okay, so he lived and the kids lived.
No, the kids died as well. The wife and the kid.
But the kids didn't die.
Oh, the kids didn't die, just the wife.
That's the wife.
Man, you
It was another one on Cable Beach where everybody died. 2 kids, a husband and a wife.
That was last year during the Christmas time.
Yeah, that was
ahead of-
Christmas.
Right, right.
But the
Okay,
children
that's
didn't
another case.
die.
The children didn't die,
The
just the
children
husband
didn't
and wife.
die. Yeah.
Oh, just the husband and the wife, hey. But Geraldo, I mean, if he wasn't under, let's just say he wasn't under the influence, should he really be charged with manslaughter? I mean, if you under the influence, definitely go to jail. But if it was just an accident, I don't know if I really agree with the change in this law. I mean, I don't know. What's your take, Geraldo?
Well, it all depends on how the situation occurred. I mean, there always have to be an investigation. You always have witnesses and cameras to actually witness these particular events. So that's the only way they could bring up these particular charges. But I mean, even if they
Okay.
don't bring up with vehicular manslaughter, but I'm sure they'll get them on, find out that these people ain't insured on the road or vehicle ain't licensed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know if if he didn't intentionally kill his wife, and if he wasn't drunk or anything. I mean, my God, man, just lose his wife.
I mean,
I just think we have a big murder problem. I noticed that was one of the laws that was changed. And I wondered, I just felt like, was that at the top of our list? Did we truly have people just out there killing people and they deserve to go to jail? You know what I mean? That's just my personal feeling. Like I say, if you drunk or intoxicated of any kind and you speeding, okay, fine. But my God, you just lose your wife now. They can drag you before the court and throw you in jail. The children just lose their mother. You know what I mean? If it was truly only an accident.
Yeah.
That's like the
people is
situation in the
right,
States with the
right.
young lady. The young lady in the States who, I think she was upset or she was drunk and she ran a light and she killed, I think, a mother, a newborn baby, a husband, and another child, and a few others injured.
6 persons died. 6 persons died, Jalisa, but that was her 13th accident. Yeah, she need to go to jail. That was her 13th accident. Something like that. Yeah,
She was still even driving.
She has a mental problem as well too.
Right. Yeah, she needs to go to jail. She killed 6 people and 13 accidents. She should not have a license. Yeah. I agree with that, but I mean, I'm just saying. In the Bahamas, people is riding dirty.
But shouldn't stipulations be in place whereas like only a certain kind of person should be able to have a driver's license, or at a certain time they should not be operating a vehicle? Like I personally feel like not gonna offend nobody by it. I feel like person 65 and over should not be driving. That's just how I feel. Because they're not as vigilant. And I had an incident like that before. That's why I feel like that.
Jalisa,
I don't agree with that message.
No, these children we done had, you can't get water from them. You think they can drive you up and down? They can drop you to work, to church, all these different places? No, Jalisa, 65, maybe 75, but not 65.
I agree, because my mother-in-law is 67 and she's still driving.
Right, and Shauna, you can't imagine her calling you, talking about pick up and drop her and take it to this place, right?
No, ma'am. And my mother is 65 and she's still driving.
My mommy too.
They need to put it in the reverse though. I think the younger people need to get off the road.
Yeah, right. Like when they go to get their driver's license renewed, they should probably be tested or something again, and then remove the ones that are not alert enough to drive. But not everybody, not a blanket straight across 65 although you all really want to drive the old people crazy. Yeah, after 60, like somebody, yeah, Geraldo is saying after 60, you should be tested. Yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree. Okay, guys, so very good, very provocative discussion. Again, like I said, we're here to learn about AML and compliance, but at the end of the course, we want you to be well-rounded. We want you to know what type of water cooler conversations to have with executives when you go to these meetings. And we want you to, you know, get into the corporate world by networking, okay? Because you have to know somebody or you're going nowhere slowly, okay? So very good, guys. I really hope you all had the opportunity to read chapter 3. It talks about sanctions. It looks cloudy at first, but it's very easy to understand. Very easy questions on the final exam. I think the classwork question asks what did they do during the pandemic, the sanctioned countries. So by the end of this class, hopefully you'll know what they did and you can answer that question. Another very popular question on the exam for sanctions, very easy to answer. What are the categories? And there are 5 categories with sanctions. And as we go through the chapter, we'll talk about those 5 categories. And then another question is the sanctions framework. So by the end of this class, make sure you can answer the classwork, understand what a sanctions framework is, and understand the various categories of sanctions. Okay. Where's my book? Let me see if I can pull this book up. 1 second. Okay, there it is. Okay, so of course, chapter 3 starts off talking about terrorism, and then it goes into talking about the U.S. Patriot Act and section 319. And so again, that's another popular question on the exam about section 319 and the various jurisdictions. So of course we know last class we talked about the various tax persons come into institutions and they want to open an account, what forms they sign, and we looked at the W-8 and the W-9 and the W-8 Ben E, okay? And they are the IRS US forms. So I don't know if y'all remember, if y'all, some of y'all might have even been born then, when George Bush was president, he constantly talked about weapons of mass destruction, okay? And of course we know around the world, you know, Iran has said that they have chemical weapons. Kim Jong-un out of Korea, you know, always threatening to blow up the world, and Russia as well. You know, they have various different types of weapons. So prior to George Bush, in fact, prior to 2018, when the laws were updated, it was just AML and CFT, anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism. When the laws were updated and after George Bush was president, there came proliferation financing. Because of course we know he was after Saddam Hussein and they killed Saddam Hussein, stating that he had weapons of mass destruction, that he was going to blow up the world. But in fact, they never found those weapons of mass destruction. So a lot of persons felt like, you know, it was retaliation for his father. His father was the president years ago, and he had only served 1 term because of the war in the Gulf. And it is considered that America lost the war in the Gulf. And so his father had a vendetta against Saddam Hussein from back then. And so I guess he, you know, thought he would go after Saddam.
Ms.
And
Bullock,
he got the UK involved. Yes.
I do apologize. I wanted to ask a question. I don't know if it's silly or not, but you can let me know. Seeing that we're discussing weapons of mass destruction, could the release of the COVID disease be like a weapon of mass destruction, or they are they
Of
only
course.
speaking to action? Oh, okay.
Of course, because it is, some people think that it was made in a lab in China, correct? And so if it, in fact, we have no proof, but if it was in fact made in a lab in China, it's a weapon of mass destruction because it killed many. Okay, so very good. You're definitely on the right track. Okay, and again, this is why all these laws were made, so that if this was indeed made in a lab in China, then we will be prosecuting no matter where those persons are in the world. This US Patriot Act says, once you accept the US dollar, you will have to answer in US courts, because of course we know they're friends, lovers, and family. But China is a communist country. They just killed some people for bribery, except in two members of parliament for bribery. But in case people, let's just say Adrian Fox did this weapons of mass destruction or released this disease, and we know what happened with this human trafficking case. So to avoid that, the US Patriot Act says that no matter where you commit this crime, once that country receives or uses US dollars, the US currency has an extraterritorial arm, and we could extradite you to the US to be prosecuted, or your country will, receive instruction to prosecute you. Okay, so the Patriot Act was updated, to go after these different terrorist groups that, think it's funny, or they aim to blow up the world. The book gives a definition of the PF, which is the proliferation, is the act of providing funds or financial services which are used in whole or in part to manufacture, acquisitions, possession, development, export, transshipment of any biological weapon, any means of delivery, any relation to it. They try to expand it because, of course, we know there are lawyers out there who win every case off a technicality because it was not in the law. So they try to make it as expansive as possible. It's a concerns over proliferation, financing are not restricted to nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. They also extend proliferation of conventional weapons. Okay, so that's the PF, and afterwards that would have been added to AML CFT to make the new name AML CFT PF. Okay, and so the purpose of sanctions is to encourage a change of behavior, to apply pressure on a country, or as an enforcement tool when international peace and security has been threatened. Okay, and there are targeted sanctions. They refer to both sanctions and embargoes, which means that there's a targeted restriction focused on the individual or organizations. Sanctions can be targeted as a particular industry, or there can be a comprehensive restriction put in place against a particular country or regime. The measures applied to targeted sanctions are embargoes on exporting or supplying arms and related material. Now, before Russia was completely sanctioned, let's say in 2020, we had Russian clients, and so we used to pay school fees for the Russian clients. And so every time we would submit that wire for the school fees, a hit would come up, and it said there is a targeted sanction, and it didn't say it was on school fees. So we were allowed to put that transfer through, but it was on timber and electrical supply and some other stuff that were banned. So that meant that you could not export or pay for timber, anything related out of Russia. You could pay the school fees, you could pay for groceries, you could pay utility bills, but that for timber, it was not allowed. Okay, so as a compliance officer, you would have to, when you get this hit, you would have to read it to see exactly what it stated, what you could not export or what you could not pay for. Okay, is that clear? So it's not on, everything out of Russia is banned. It is banned now, but back then it wasn't. Okay, then there are travel bans on named individuals, and we're gonna look at our sanctions list. Sorry, somebody said something? Okay, can you mute your mic for me, please?
Yeah, but give me some time. Let me go class first.
Okay, Demetria, let me try to mute it. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, y'all still there? Y'all very quiet. Y'all still there?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we're
Yes,
still here.
yeah.
Okay, okay, good. So travel bans on named individuals, banned on exporting equipment, banned on import of raw materials, financial sanctions on individuals in government bodies and associate companies. Okay, so you would really have to pay attention and read the sanction. Okay, so let's share the screen so y'all, Miss Bullet, what you talking about? Let's just see what Miss Bullet talking about. And I have some stuff open. Y'all don't look at my Hilton in the Fort Lauderdale area. Okay, so in the Bahamas, and again, you want to get familiar with the terminology. This is our Ministry of Finance. Let me see if I can put this up. So, yeah. Okay, Shalisa, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Okay, when you said the sanctions, would this be the list that I think it was Securities Commission that they sent out an updated one recently, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Securities Commission, if that's your regulator, they normally send it out, but for the banks, the central bank sends it out as well. Okay. So they call it, why did the front page? Let's see if this will go back. Okay, international obligations. Again, know the various terminologies, because on the exam, it may not have what is the sanctions framework. It may have what is the international obligations framework within your organization. Okay, so this is the Bahamas sanctions list. Is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it just tells you these are very old. Before,
Bullet, sorry, what's supposed to be on this? What's supposed to be on the screen?
Y'all can't see anything?
Because
Y'all
I
can't
only
see
see
Somalia?
targeted sanctions after both sanctions and embargoes, which means like the book, I only could see the workbook.
Okay, let me go back 1 second. Let me see if I can do it now. Okay, is that better? Can you see international obligations?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so this is the Bahamas Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay, and it doesn't say, it says United States, United Nations sanctions underneath, but it says international organizations, which is another name for sanctions. Okay, so in the Bahamas, these are the countries that we have sanctioned. So that means that nobody from these countries should be on your books, right? The other day we had a company call and say, can we have an account with Afghanistan? Now, we had a lot of persons who born in Afghanistan and they in America when they were a teenager, and they still have family there. And so we had somebody argue that this person is not from Afghanistan. There's a big argument over nationality and over citizenship. Okay, and I don't want to get into that argument. Okay, however, if somebody moves to Afghanistan, from Afghanistan to America and has citizenship, but their parents still live there, or they married and their wife or their children still lives there, then they still have ties and they should be banned. However, if they move from Afghanistan and the parents are no longer living or they don't have any connects, then it should be fine. But you really want to do that secondary check to see, don't matter that they have a US passport or Bahamian passport. You born in Afghanistan, we need to know what ties you have. That remember, the key is to know your customer. Go ahead, Shauna. Shauna, you
Hi,
raised your
I
hand.
just want to make sure I am correct in my understanding. So you're saying if you're born in Afghanistan, but then you get citizenship here in the Bahamas, but your family, your mom, your dad, and your family is still in Afghanistan, that means that you should be banned from doing stuff here, or you shouldn't be living here?
No, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be living here. I'm just saying each company, and when we get the risk, has a risk appetite. And Afghanistan is a high-risk block country on the FATF side, not only in the Bahamas. So therefore, should you truly be doing business with somebody who still has ties, even though they are Bahamian citizen and they live here now? You see what I mean? Because
But a
that's what
lot of
we have. We have a lot of people saying, oh, I haven't been back to Afghanistan for 10 years, but I send my parents money every month.
Oh,
You still have ties, right? Or I married an Afghan woman and my wife and my children lives in Afghanistan. You still have ties. I'm just saying to look out for that. You know, you want to make a risk-based decision on whether or not you're going to do business with that customer.
so I'm just curious, if you do business with that customer, then there will be you will basically have a penalty then.
You could. You possibly could, because it's a block country. Yeah, it's really risky. It's really too risky, and it will cost you more than what you make off the customer. So in
Yeah, and it
my
exposed the
opinion,
company
it's
to
just not
risk.
worth it. And we have had right, and we've had companies fighting that, you know, and I always ask, if the family still lives in Afghanistan and money is being sent back, then it's a no for me. But if you have lived in the US most of your life and your family is there, then I'm fine with it. But again, it's all about knowing your customer. Okay, so just so you would know. Okay, so back to sanctions again. In the Bahamas, these are the sanctioned countries, and therefore nobody on your book should be from these countries. Okay, Libya is there. Lebanon, we have a customer that was born in Lebanon. However, they live in Spanish Wells in the Bahamas. And see, we always have to print this out and put this on their file. It says, since no individuals have yet to be designated by the committee, these sanctions are not imposed. But it's there on the list. So if you just go there and look at the list, you say, oh yeah, Lebanon is on the list. We can't open this account. However, we had to read it and print it out and put it on file, because the first thing the auditor says, you have a customer from Lebanon and that's sanctioned, they ready to write us up. Okay, so this is the Bahamas sanction list. I want you to note that Venezuela is heavily sanctioned by the US and by Canada, but we don't have Venezuela sanctioned. So therefore, the Bahamas has a very large Venezuelan book. Okay. So Russia, this is supposed to be the updated list, but I don't see Russia on it. But again, all of this is just to familiarize yourself with it. And so let's look at what a sanction looks like. These are very old. This is Libya. And another, it's also called international obligations, economic and ancillary measures. No way, so you would need to know all of this terminology to know that they're referring to sanctions. And sometimes instead of sanctions, they ask. Okay, so just know the terminology. Okay, and so this is how it looks. A ban on Libyan flights, no aircraft registered in Libya or owned or operated by Libyan nationals or companies shall be permitted to take off from, land in, or overfly the Bahamas unless the flight has been approved in advance by the committee or in the case of an emergency landing. Okay, just so you would have a visual of what it looks like. Go ahead, Carrie.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but you are driving a lot. I can barely understand you, Miss
Carrie, you have a
Flirt.
question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can anybody else have an issue? Can y'all hear me?
You were breaking up a little bit.
Yeah,
You're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, so I was just wondering if it was
Is
just
this
me.
better?
Okay.
But it wasn't horrible.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Is it better now?
You have to talk some more.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
That happens
I
all the
just
time.
showed you one. Right. I just showed you a travel ban on Libya.
It's better.
Now
Yeah.
on Liberia. Okay. On Liberia, these are actually names of persons on the side who cannot come to the Bahamas. Okay. So it could be a travel ban, or it could be a named person or a named company. Anybody affiliated with this company, Airbus Transportation. Anybody affiliated with Charles MacArthur cannot come. He's a former president of Liberia. He would not be able to come to the Bahamas. Howard Taylor, a former Liberian senator, his wife, and the spouse, a Senate spouse of a former Liberian president. All of those persons are sanctioned, so they would not be able to come to the Bahamas. Okay, and so that's how. But sorry,
That's like a running list, like this
Yes.
a forever list. You can hear me? Hello?
Yeah, this is on the, if you Google.
You're still breaking up.
Yes, do you see this list? It's very old. It doesn't seem like it has been updated because I don't see Russia on it.
Okay,
So
I
this
was,
is on,
yeah.
yeah. This is on our Ministry of Foreign Affairs site.
Okay, but you're still breaking up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but it was breaking up a lot.
So yeah, this is a list, and you just Google the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay, so the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it's on their site. Okay, yeah, the only thing I could possibly do is sign out and sign back in. I know that'll help. You know, let me know if you can. This is our list.
No.
And it should, they are saying that this is the updated list, but of course we don't see anything out of Russia. Okay. Now, most recently, we would have received from the Securities Commission. These are the sanctions that we received recently against Russia, and so these came out in March. Can y'all see the screen? Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
No,
we can
ma'am,
see it.
I
You're
Hello?
still breaking up a
I'm
lot.
seeing an international obligations.
Okay, it's very, okay. Okay, so let me just give me 5 minutes. Let me sign out and sign back in, and let me see if that will happen. Or perhaps when I'm sharing, can you hear me now that I'm not sharing? Is this better?
You have to talk some
Priya,
more.
is this better? Priya, okay.
It is.
Is this better now that I'm not sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But it's
Okay.
like when you say
Okay,
the
so-
important stuff, it is break up.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try again, and then if it breaks up again, then I'll sign out and sign back in. But in March, of course, you all know that we recently sanctioned Russia. Everybody familiar that the Bahamas just added Russia to the sanctions list?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so everybody was waiting. We didn't know what we were going to do, but that what I was showing you just now is we sanctioned a lot of persons as well as companies, and it turned out to be 99 Russian companies and persons that we sanctioned. And I'm not going to speak, I'm just going to show it to you on the screen so you can see it. So it's very faint. I don't know why it's coming up so faint, but these are the Russian. There are 22 persons, and there are 99 entities, and all of this came out from the Securities Commission. And what this said was, on March the 13th, when we went back into the office, what we would have had to do is go to our systems and check every single of those persons on our books. Okay. So if you work in the retail world, you may not have had to do it. If you automatically know that we don't have any Russian clients, then you should have been okay. But you want to be careful of that. Like the same thing with Afghanistan. Perhaps I was born in Russia, but I have an American passport or a Swiss passport, and that happens a lot of times. Okay, so perhaps you may still have had to go through your system and make sure that none of those persons were on your list. Now, they had to be somewhere in the Bahamas because, of course, the central bank came out and said we had $4 billion? Anybody knows? Are you hearing me better now?
A lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the sharing that's causing the breakup. Yeah. Okay. So we had $4 billion of Russian assets, right? So it was in Bahamian banks. I know I audited a prior organization that had at least 50 Russian clients. So of course I know those persons were very busy that day trying to figure out who all had which one of those persons on that list had to be, I guess, reported. You had to make a list and report that yes, we indeed do have this person on our list, or we do indeed have Russian clients. Okay. And so it goes on, the book goes on to talk about the use of sanctions can be grouped in the 5 main categories. And these are the categories that are very important. So make sure that you know these categories is counterterrorism, is conflict resolution, protection of civilians, non-proliferation, and democratization. Okay. So of course, under counterterrorism, an example would be like 9/11. Okay. So just make sure you understand the categories and which, why countries are signed. I think Rwanda is sanctioned for protection of civilians. Okay. They go on to talk about a designated person list or a listed person. And again, we just looked at that because we saw the persons, various persons listed in the sanction on Russia, where it did not only have persons, it had countries. And you would, like I say, make sure that none of those persons are on your book. And so one of the 22 FATF recommendations that we were deficient in as a country was that we did not have a sanctions framework in place. And so since then, the Securities Commission as well as the central bank has taken on putting a sanctions framework in place. And so basically what it says, there are different lists that come out every month, like how, once the UN blocks somebody, a list comes out, and there are forms that you fill out once those lists comes out. And I think the Securities Commission, they call it Form A and Form B, or Form 1 and 2, and you send it into the Securities Commission and you just confirm that none of those persons are on your books. If you are a bank, you send it into the central bank annually and say none of these persons are on our books. When they send out an updated list, they give you 30 days to respond. If they don't send any list, you still confirm annually. Okay. And with the Securities Commission, I think you confirm quarterly. So it just really depends on what type of institution you are and when you need to report. Okay. And that constitutes the framework. Okay. And which financial institutions have to confirm to their regulator that they don't have any of the sanctioned persons on their books. Now, most recently, the FIU contacted me and said, when I send my information either to the central bank or to the Securities Commission, please, confirm with them as well. So I've added the FIU as well to, our books. or to the email that I sent to them. And the book goes on to talk about OFAC imposes aggressive financial penalties for breaches. And there are a few banks. And if you ever look at the Swiss system, every time you send a wire, it'll tell you that Lloyd's is blocked because of sanctions, HSBC, Royal Bank of Scotland, all of these various banks had to pay penalties for the various breaches. But of course, most of us would have watched Dirty Money, and we saw the HSBC case. And we saw that for the most part, most of these banks just got a slap on the wrist. And so because the bank is not shut down, even though in the SWIFT system, we see HSBC is sanctioned, we just put the wire through, okay? But until they are shut down, there's nothing we can do. But like I say, when you are monitoring, you will see the various hits against all these banks, the corresponding banks, and they pay major fines, but that is it. And like I say, to understand how they get a slap on the wrist, you watch Dirty Money with HSBC and the Mexican drug lords. Okay, and so the book goes on to talk about designing a sanctions framework. What do you need to have a framework in place? You want documented policies and procedures. You want to define the roles and responsibilities. Who needs sanction countries? At account opening, normally we go to the OFAC site, which is the Office of Foreign Asset Controls, and we just put in a name, and it gives us an indication on whether or not this person is sanctioned or not. And so this should be a part of your opening process, your onboarding process. A company is checking. Priya, Avery, Alicia.
Hi.
Hello.
Sam.
Miss Bullet, you still kind of breaking
Vanita?
up.
You was
You all
breaking up,
there?
Miss Bullet.
Yeah, you still breaking up.
Breaking up.
Yeah, very bad
Okay,
this time.
let me, y'all don't, okay, sorry. Let me come out. Y'all don't, give me 5 minutes. I'll sign out and sign back in and see if it's better.
And then
Okay?
repeat what you said.
Yeah, yeah, then I'll repeat it. Okay, 1 second, 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Geraldo. Geraldo,
Yes, speaking.
the backhoe thing, is that the same meeting that I shared in the group, or is it a different one?
Which group?
I think it's the same one. I don't think he's in the group.
Oh,
But it's the
okay.
same one.
I'm not in the group. I put my number, but I'm not in the group.
Okay, okay.
What? Geraldo, I didn't add you. Let me fix that, friend. Hold on. Let me see.
That's the virtual lunch meeting. I must
Yeah,
got
but
I got the link. Must see after 12 midnight this morning.
man, I think I put the, let me see what I put in there.
How you sign up for it? You just email the email on the
yeah.
flyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I identified myself.
Okay, okay. All right, this
Okay.
the one with moderator is Shelley Cook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you all hear me now? Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so I was talking about the sanction framework and what was required. And so it says documented policies and procedures, raising awareness and training, roles and responsibilities. So you want to ensure that somebody is assigned. Are we checking OFAC when we open an account as a part of our onboarding process? Anybody
Yes, ma'am.
familiar with OFAC?
Yes,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
did
Okay.
OFAC
So
a
we
while
do-
back at Commonwealth Bank.
Okay, yeah, so we don't only check World Check. We check OFAC too, the Office of Foreign Assets Control, to make sure that there are no hits against the person or that they are not listed on any of those sanctions lists. We should have reporting requirements. Again, like I said, if you're the Securities Commission, it's your regulator, you're reporting to them every 3 months that none of the sanctioned persons are on our list. What to look out for when you send wires. You are monitoring and screening. World Check now has an extended version where you can check sanctions screening as well, and it'll let you know if any persons, related or what have you, have any sanctions against them. So it's pretty easy to monitor. It's a matter of training and ensuring that you understand how to read the lists and what's important, and to ensure that you are receiving up-to-date lists from your regulator and responding back to them, letting them know that you don't have any of those persons on your in your portfolio. Okay. All manual and automated sanctions processes should be subject to quality assurance, to include the following: assurance that the investigation was completed in a timely manner. And a lot of times we are investigating names and we get a void or a null report. Okay, like I said, companies don't like to invest in these various systems because 90% of the times your report will say null and void. Yes, we check GA Cartwright, but that's not our customer GA Cartwright. And we fail to keep source document. You're going to need that document 6 months from now when you get another hit against GA, okay? So please take the time and find somewhere to file or print out or store in the system that you would have verified. And even when audit comes in, they need to look at these verifications. Okay. Like I said, companies don't spend money, just 90% of the hits are null and void. However, that one hit that you miss or your system does not pick up to shut down your entire bank. Okay. And so that's just the way it is. And so you have to spend that money. Okay. You want to ensure that the audit trail is documented. You want to ensure that there's an escalation in who you go to, who's going to file the SDR. Okay. And then you want somebody to do a quality check on any investigation that, a new employee or somebody who is not trained would have carried out. Okay. Any questions so far? I don't know which part you did not hear. I'm gonna go back and talk about the Section 319 of the Patriot Act. So let me know any questions or give me some feedback. You all there?
No questions. It's just trying to concentrate hearing you because it going like in and out, in and out, in and out.
Yeah, the connection is very bad.
Yeah, sorry about that. I oversee it, so that's probably what happened because I already signed out and signed back in. So I'm sorry about that, but definitely if you have any questions or concerns as you go through the classwork, just let me know. We got the categories and we got the framework. We understand the targeted sanctions.
Yes.
Okay, and you saw the visual when I put the screen on the screen of the Bahamas sanctions.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and we do understand there's a difference between the countries that America and Canada has sanctions versus the Bahamas. Because you can't have a Venezuelan account in the US, but you can't have it in the Bahamas.
Right.
Can you explain that, please?
Correct.
I don't get that.
Yeah, because I just showed you our list. Venezuela is not on it, right?
No.
So everybody has different lists.
Yeah, each country has different lists. Right. And so, but America has not strong down us and made us put Venezuela on it. They could,
Okay.
but
Okay.
they haven't. I'm sure they strong down us against Russia. Because
I was
remember
about to
up
They
ask.
front,
did. I remember that. That made the news.
yeah, because remember Fred Mitchell was saying we don't know what we're gonna do with Russia at the moment. We haven't made a decision. And then 2 weeks later, then we came out with the Russian sanctions. Okay, so that's what happened. So I think America said we had to put them in, and then people are saying, why y'all going to mess with Russia? Leave them people over there. Because I think a week or a month ago, Russia listed us as an unfriendly nation. And so people's like, why y'all going and mess with Russia? Like, why y'all getting big people business? Y'all remember that a month or so
Yes,
ago?
ma'am.
No?
Yes, ma'am.
But do you think
Okay, okay.
if it wasn't for
Okay.
the whole war between, not war, but the little to do Russia and Ukraine had, would have been on the sanctions list?
I don't think so.
No, they would not have been on the sanctions list if it wasn't
No.
over Ukraine. Yeah. So they gave Ukraine independence, and now that Ukraine is thriving and making money, they wanna go and take it back over and get all the resources. The same thing with China and Taiwan, but the US said that if China invades Taiwan, then they definitely have to go to war because Taiwan is a NATO country. Unfortunately, Ukraine is not a NATO country. Years ago, when Putin gave Ukraine independence, they were the United SSR. And he didn't want to, he said every country for themselves. So he gave them independence. He didn't have money to invest in them. And so he put one of his boys in power, and that he basically did everything that Putin said. So after the people saw that, a lot of money was making, because Ukraine is the largest producer of corn in the world. So everything with corn and oil and stuff comes out of Ukraine. Then Putin say, hey, I need this, I need this little money back. I need this little country back. But the people voted out Putin's friend and voted in this new prime minister who tried to put structure and order in Ukraine and cut Putin off. And so now that's why he's trying to invade them. And the same thing with Taiwan. Taiwan is the largest producer of semiconductors in the world. And apparently semiconductors are needed for every computer, every cell phone, so that's how popular it is. And that's how much money the economy is making now. But again, China had made them independent. And so now they want to go back and say, oh, you're making all this money. We want you all back. So here it becomes war, right? So yeah, this is why we had to sanction them to change Putin's behavior, hopefully, but I don't know. It didn't work so far, but we keep watching it and we'll see what happens. Okay. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
No?
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. So back to this
You talking?
extraterritorial of the US.
Miss
Yeah,
Fuller,
you can hear me? Okay, the
still-
extraterritorial
Miss Fuller, you're still breaking up. Like
sorry?
I could see your mic moving, but we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I tried to turn on the screen. Sorry. Okay. So the extraterritorial arm of the US dollar. Okay. And so the US Patriot Act normally would only be for United States. However, through this act, they made it mandatory for countries around the world. Once you accept the US dollar, and I think there's 195 countries around the world that accept the US dollar. Some are like us on par with our Bahamian dollar, right? And so this extraterritorial arm says once you accept the US dollar, we can come into your country and prosecute whomever we want to through this act. And so I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Julius Baer case, where Julius Baer, they had 4 executives, and this is Julius Baer right in the Bahamas. They had about 30 or 40 employees, and they had 4 executives who left, and I think they were going to go to Corner Bank. And just as they left, they were investigated, and they were investigated for their Venezuelan book, where they did a lot of fraud over and stole a lot of money. You know, like they leveraged off Venezuela being a sanctioned country, and they was hoping that, you know, nobody would notice. But like I said, because of this extraterritorial arm, they were investigated. One guy has testified and gone to jail for 10 years. The other 3 guys are free, but they also implicated, I think, Galtech Bank, as well as, what is the bank, Ansbacher Bank, to say, you know, all of them were doing some things they should not have been doing. However, unfortunately, Ansbacher, not Ansbacher, but Julius Baer could not remain open. They suffered a lot of reputational risk. They lost a lot of clients because clients thought, oh, this bank is going to shut down. They're being investigated. So I think they closed down, and 40 persons went home. Okay, and you could read that story because that was right in the Bahamas, but the guy is serving 10 years in America. So not only does, through the Patriot Act, it allows America with the extraterritorial arm, through the Patriot Act, they allow, I think it's Section 319 of the Patriot Act, they allow to come into your country, seize assets, freeze assets, send a subpoena for assets to be frozen, and then they can try you in the United States. Also, if a wire is sent through a corresponding bank, they have the corresponding bank system set up so that even if this money is to go to Spain, it touches the Fed. So they have the system, the SWIFT system set up that all the money goes through the Fed. And once the money would have hit the Fed, that means that you did a crime in America. And so not only can they prosecute you there, but they can, if your country say 3 years for this fraud, they can enforce their penalties, which may be 10 or 20 years. Okay, so extraterritorial arm, as well as all the money channeling, all the transfers. And like I said, in the offshore where nobody comes into the bank, everybody just sends a transfer request by email, pay my children's school fee, buy me food, pay for a vacation, pay this bill, I own this private island. Or even in the retail bank, wire this money to Amazon, or wire this to my child's college and pay their school fees. All that is tied up and it hits the US. Okay, there are corresponding banks in Europe, but normally only offshore banks have those corresponding banks. For the most part, all commercial banks use the wiring system through the US. So therefore, that means if anything is done, they can prosecute you. And there's a form called the Wolfsburg questionnaire that you have to fill out to even get a corresponding banking account. And in those, on that questionnaire, they ask you, if you're a non-resident to the US, meaning you are a foreign bank, which would be Royal Bank Bahamas, CIBC Bahamas, any of the offshore banks in the Bahamas, are you bound by the US Patriot Act, Section 319? Do you know if the US has the right to come into the Bahamas and seize your assets? And they ask you yes or no. And a lot of people say no. However, the answer is yes. And if you put no on that, they don't open up the account for you. So you have to put yes. On that form, they also ask you how many accounts do you have related to oil and gas, to marijuana, to pornography, okay? Because these are the high risk products and services. And so they decide if you have 50% of your book Venezuelan, 50% of your book pornography and oil and gas, you too high risk, and they don't open the account for you. Okay, and so what happens is you end up paying another bank a lot of fees who already have an account to send your clients wires on your behalf. And in some cases, the corresponding banks call that nesting. Okay, and if in the offshore world, if you cannot send wires, you might as well shut down your bank. It makes no sense. It's like I said, nobody walks into the bank. Okay, so the key pieces from chapter 3 is section 319 of the US Patriot Act, and what it can do, target sanctions, the 5 categories for sanctions, the framework, and how to design a sanctions framework to protect your business. Okay, and the classwork question asks, how did sanctioned countries get aid during the pandemic? And I think it was China would have sent money to Cuba and Venezuela, and they would have sent the PPE equipment to Venezuela. Iran went to the World Bank and asked to borrow $1 million to get PPE equipment. However, Donald Trump blocked that because they said Iran was a sanctioned country. However, the UK stepped in and loaned Iran 500,000 euros so they would be able to get PPE equipment. Even though Cuba is a sanctioned country, they know they have the best doctors in the world, and they sent I think 50 doctors into Italy to assist because they had a lot of deaths in Italy. So they sent 50 Cuban doctors into Italy.
I remember that.
The Bahamas aided, I think, the Dominican Republic, not the Dominican, Dominica, by sending a Bahamas airplane into Dominica with Cuban doctors as well to assist them. Okay, and so that's how you would answer that classwork question. There are 4 or 5 different things that happen: Cuba, Italy, Iran, and that's how they got aid. Okay, because when you are sanctioned, of course we know, Cuba has been sanctioned for many years, and Venezuela has been sanctioned for many years, and so that means that they don't get aid, they don't get assistance, they don't get export into Venezuela from the US. Normally they have to go to Russia, and they have to go to different parts of Europe. So Cuba and Venezuela should be even having a further suffering now that Russia is sanctioned, because that means that, a lot of ports would not be accepting goods from Russia because the world has Russia sanctioned, and they were a major supplier for Venezuela and Cuba. Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
any questions or concerns? No, like I said, it's pretty easy to answer on the final exam. I actually like the sanctioned questions. Most persons answer them. Because you said it was breaking up next week, we'll just do a small overview. But I do want you to do your classwork, and I want you to see if you can write an essay that would give you 10 points. Okay, and then come back next week and we can discuss any issues that you may be experiencing. But please don't let the weeks pass, because a lot of persons just sit here and they fall asleep, and they cooking and they cleaning, they doing all sorts of stuff, and they miss a lot of good information. Okay, so please take some time and see if you can at least answer the classwork questions. For the persons who are going to do the homework, it's due on Wednesday. If you can't meet Wednesday's deadline, then pick another question. But I want you to be able to please at least look at the question to make sure you understand and can answer it. Yes, I'm sorry, Renita, that I'm lying. Yes?
The question that you want us to do the essay on is chapter 3 or chapter 4 and 5?
No. One is
You mean-
classwork, one is homework.
No,
I want you to do all the classwork.
Okay.
Yeah. It's question 1 then. Question 1.
Okay, yeah, I'm aware of that one. I thought you meant you wanted the essay on the sanctioned countries receiving assistance. Okay, that's fine.
Right. No, I was saying practice it so to see if you can answer it.
Okay.
And then come back next week. Since you would, the communication was not good tonight. So I want us to discuss next week that we are all on the same page and that we understand it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, guys. Sorry about the communication. And like I say, next week we'll discuss it and to make sure everybody's on par, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
All
Enjoy
right,
your
y'all have a great
holiday.
week.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you so
ma'am.
much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night,
Okay,
everyone.
good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.